That's good. Very good. Let me see if I can put this up.
I've won about $40 so far.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Well, actually, I won 20. I spent about 20 and I won 40.
Oh, okay.
So I won about 20 plus I got the 3 entries. So.
Plus you got your 20 back.
But plus the 20 back and plus I'm going to be rich on the 31st.
Oh, that's great. That sounds good, my brother. Hold on to it.
Yeah, I am.
That's important.
Because I already know it. I'm trying to, I don't need to be working, so.
Right?
I need to be doing some other things.
That's right.
So I know the Creator going to bless me.
That's
By
right.
giving me this here, so I don't have to worry about that over.
All right.
I didn't have a call in.
That's prosperity thinking. Very good.
Is it safe? And they're up there, I mean, trying to get, because the guy would walk back to his truck and he'd scratch some things off.
That's the way I don't
They have some copies of, as I mentioned before, the Golden Age, but also don't overlook this book. I overlooked this book 10 years. There are 4 chapters on the Moors in this book. 4 chapters. The title of the book is Deceptive. There's a chapter on all of them. But it's a remarkable piece of literature. Virtually, J.A. represents out of that group, because of his prolific writing, he represents the father of corrective African history. All of these brothers that wrote corrective history have to refer back to J.A. Rogers in their documentaries. So he's quite the giant, the invisible giant among the new literature that we're getting is helping to awaken us. Just as Benjamin Banneker is the invisible giant that represents the prominence of Moorish science. One interesting thing, none of those groups even refer to Benjamin Banneker. Elijah Muhammad didn't give him any credit. I don't know if Noble Drew Ali did or not, I don't know. Drew Ali didn't write anything except that little pamphlet. But none of them, including Imam Isa, he hasn't made any reference to Benjamin Banneker Bey. But he was kept exclusively secretive as a part of the American African Masonic Lodge in America. And he was at a very high spiritual level. I mean, the Europeans respected him during the time when our ancestors were in slavery. This man went to England, scot-free, and got a charter. They wouldn't give him a charter. And he boated a boat and went to England and got a Masonic charter. He was born free.
Bey.
Yeah.
B-E-Y.
Yeah, that's his title.
What does that mean?
I'll tell you later.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Ben was saying that Carter G. Woodson was influenced by J.A. Rogers. That's who started him off.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole group of them first, as young brothers who were full of enthusiasm about doing history. They started going in everybody's library and finding stuff they didn't know existed. They were students and writers. Henry Clark. They claim, I don't know if that's true, but I don't think so, because I think Yacanan was in Spain at the time. This group was formed. He may have come later. Some are claiming that Yacanan was a part of that. I don't think so. Yacanan spent a great deal of time in
He said
Spain.
he got in New York in the late 30s.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, he may have found them.
Yeah.
But he was into Judaism. Then he got here, but he had already gotten a PhD, if I'm not mistaken, in Moorish history in Spain.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The only black man in America with a PhD in Moorish history. You can't get that anywhere.
Dr. Ben?
But the waking up process is not easy. That's when I sympathize with some brothers that walk around with them DRs and MADs and all of what was it, all the alphabet behind their name. They just as sleep as a brother walking around with a fifth of wine in his hip pocket. They both drunk on something. It gets deep. What time is it?
You're on camera.
I'm on camera?
Yeah.
You already turned the camera on? Oh, man. I'm trying to wait and let some folks show up in here. Well, okay, since we're on camera, on film.
I met Vince many years ago, ahead of my time,
Yeah, okay.
and, yeah, I went to.
Oh, you met Ben? Yes, I've been. Yeah.
No, it's a couple of lectures.
You've been there, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Remind me, I'll talk to you after.
All right, I'll come to you on that. All right.
Very good.
did you explain that melanin?
Well,
I got it, you thought about it in the past.
It's okay. Next week.
Okay, like my hair is all in
you'll lodge yourself there at the door so that the latecomers can make their
Oh, yeah,
proper-
I haven't gotten anyone
their
yet.
proper
I can see someone watching the video going, and why is all that hair like
Y'all
up to
quit
the
working me
side?
for free. Give me my money.
All right,
As much as I love to do this, I still got
money. Yeah, it's hard to find.
Come on over and get some of these yoga sandwiches we got.
Yo, oh, you started your business?
Nah,
No, okay. Your yogurt sandwich. Yogurt.
Business?
Tofu sandwich. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yes, sir.
tofu steak.
Your wife is the one who's going into business.
And why did he look like that? Like someone had a
I
gun?
want to talk with you two after class. And
Oh, thank you. Your wife coming? Yeah.
the brother with the baseball cap on, see me after class, yeah. And also you. Well, I guess we're going to get started. I'll drag along, let some of them trickle in, hopefully. I know the hot weather is discouraging towards getting up, putting on your clothes, and jumping in the car and driving somewhere. But we want to keep in mind that the point of development, the point of growth,
That's the telephone.
is always going to be challenged. There's always going to be something that's going to come up.
Same rhythm I had.
You know, same thing, you find that in meditation.
Somebody said
As soon
it.
as you get ready to meditate, the phone, or you think of something you should have done, you jump up. That's the stuff. Its work is to keep you on this plane, doing stuff. But once you re-establish your sense of rhythm, then it begins to cooperate with you.
I've
It
been
begins
up.
to acknowledge you as Lord, not the body
4121
as Lord and Master. So
7412
it takes a little time to
8681.
synchronize that. Then after a while, after about 6 months or a year, everything starts working in your behalf
You didn't hear
to
it?
make arrangements so that you
Okay,
can meditate, you
4121.
can study. Yeah, so some guys would even come up and they would get different working hours.
8681.
Some would get promotions where all they do is walk around or sit down. Or get jobs where they can sit down and read all day. My
5429.
buddy in Cleveland had a job
2034.
with Bell
8000.
Company in Ohio.
233.
The boiler man, clean boilers.
1267.
So he'd go run over to the station where he had to clean, but then
Yes, ma'am.
stretch out on the floor and read
Pardon me.
until quitting time, you know. And
That's
it was
695.
ideal, you know. He did almost no work.
Uh-huh.
He got paid for it. He got paid for studying after a while. Today we're going to deal with the sign of Virgo. But before, let me make a commentary so we get an idea of what we're talking about as opposed to the subject that's given in most or many books on astrology. Where is it? This is the one I'm recommending. Alan Oaken's stuff is kind of, this is a book
It's on you.
that's well organized, easy to study and read. Alan Orkin's stuff here is kind of awesome. Some astrologers are good delineators, but they're not good writers. She's a fairly decent, comprehensible writer.
It's on you. It's there. It's on your license.
We are studying here the ancient approach to knowledge, which is Moorish. And that approach is from the natural order of the language of nature, or the Creator, which is symbology. That's our approach. All knowledge flows from the exterior, from this designing, this artwork of the Creator. Men may duplicate symbology, but nature designates symbology. Yes, sir.
Virgo should be August through September, you see.
Yes, right. I was right at the beginning, wasn't I? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I was right.
I know who I am.
Well, very all right, my brother. Speak on it. August the 22nd to September the 23rd. Is that correct? Okay, very good. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. We're talking about the signs as what they represent in each one of our nature, not the 30 degrees in its delineation about the personality of those or that 30 degrees. You can read that stuff. That's in a lot of books. This course is about inside. Our study and approach to the Bible is about inside. Okay, the Christian, the believer, are outside with the Bible. The mundane, secular astrologer is talking about the activities outside. We want to get inside, where your divinity is, your godhood is, where your perfection is already established. You're trying to educare, draw out that which is within. It's very difficult to do. The world keeps drawing us outside. It becomes more important about what's going on outside of ourselves than what's inside ourselves. What we're trying to do is put our sweater right side in. We got it wrong side out. Once we're able to do that, then you get a true perspective of what's really going on outside. When someone says something with their mouth, your spirit discerns what they're saying with their heart. You know what things mean. Your spirit is able to talk with you in symbology that's everywhere present. Each one of us represents a symbol. Everything in your house is symbolic of your thinking, your spiritual growth and development, your mental state. But we're not able to read the signs and the seasons. That's what Jesus makes reference to. He's not talking about the weatherman. He's not trying to talk about the conditions of storms and so forth, but about the signs and the seasons of each cycle of your life and the cycle of the period in which we all live. We need to be able to read those signs and wonders. And we're going to get plenty of them. They come, okay. Plenty wonders, not just signs. You see where those storms keep hitting, don't you?
Yeah.
Where we are not. I don't like to make fun of anyone's misery, but we need to understand the law of karma. So we understand a part of, in as much as the retribution of bad deeds, so that we don't think, as some of our so-called leaders had us thinking, that once we got in power, we were going to do to them what they had done to us. We already done that. That's why we have been getting our behind us kicked so hard. Our goal is towards divine love, guided by wisdom. Towards wisdom, guided by divine love. Let love guide wisdom. So that we do what is right in harmony with the universe. That is what righteousness is. If you want to know what that concept means, according to the rhythm, the cycles of the universe is what righteousness and right knowledge is. And that concept really means esoterically fire knowledge. Not just knowing, but the power of knowing what to do is a part of righteousness. So we're taking the symbol and looking at the meaning of the symbol and looking at that sign in our own nature, how it fits in our human makeup. Virgo is a very, very interesting sign, and this young lady here who wrote this book back in '52 from another book written by Carrie was overzealous in all of these delineations of the 12 signs. He was so ardent and passionate in trying to prove, or she, that the Bible and astrology is all about and only about human nature. The answer to that is yes and no. Even though she's got at the bottom of every page, as above, so below, you know, through the whole book, she's got, right, is it this book or no, that's Arden's book. She mentions the law of correspondence. What is true in our nature is also true in the nature outside of us. That law is applicable from A to Z, from 1 to 9. It doesn't change. As above, so below means whatever is going on in your mind or brain is going on in your body. Whatever is going up on the next plane of existence where the electrical forces are operative in terms of planetary forces interchanging power and intelligence is going on in us. Okay? As the universe or solar system and planet affects our nature, we in turn affect its nature. That's important in understanding the cause of storm. Just think for a minute how many brain minds there are on this planet. And look at the wave of force that people who think negatively, despondently, and poverty set off with their frustration, their anger, their fear, their hatred. That's all energy. When you look at the sum total package of that deal, you got a storm. You know? If you wonder what keeps throwing this atmosphere off balance, now we're in a season where somebody else is helping to throw it off balance, along with all that dumb stuff that the masses of human beings are thinking, essentially due to lack of knowledge, due to lack of self-knowledge. Okay, let me get back here before I get off into some kind of preaching thing here. If you take note of this glyph, you see a letter, the letter M. Now, these several astrologers are not in unison, in agreement with what this particular glyph means. One is saying that it represents the letter M for Mary, and this glyph represents the V for Virgin. That could be very valid. Another one is saying that it represents the chords of the body crossing over as the chords of Kundalini. Well, I don't see how he got that out of it, but that's what he's saying. So they're kind of at odds, and this is part of the problem of Western spiritual knowledge and New Age knowledge. Is there's so many different schools of thought. I think that the most conspicuous part of this is the fact that it's an M. You know, all of them delineate the glyph the same way. And it could very well represent not Mary, but this is the Latin word that they correlate with Mary. That's pronounced mare in some languages and mar in others, but it's the Latin word for more. But if you look in the dictionary, you will find the concept mooring in the dictionary that makes reference to boating or moving on the water. The hieroglyph that I found in a book by Budge titled The Mummy gave a glyph that read, with this translation, which is moored. This meaning great ones, and this meaning great ones on the water. One then looks at the ancient glyph of the Aztec, who also projected the term that the Arabians rendered Muslim to Mu, the same concept. Salim, great ones of peace. But the point I'm making here is that this concept is only euphemistically being attached to that of Mary. Then physiologically, it could very well represent Mary, because every mother gives birth to her child in water. Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is that this could very well depict be depicted by the letter M, representing water for Virgo. However, Virgo is not a symbol of mother and son. We all already know that that's Cancer, is the crescent and the star. Virgo is governed by Mercury. And Mercury, of course, is viewed as a symbological representation of the messenger of the gods, the winged gods, which we will find in this one chapter. We're going to deal with two chapters. But before we do that, I want to read a little bit about Virgo so that you'll be somewhat familiarized with some of the behavioral patterns of Virgo in relationship to this symbological representation that's depicted in the book of Ruth and the book of Esther. And I got a little bonus for you. We're going to look at the women's Masonic order in those two books. It didn't take me all day here to find Virgo. Let me read just some of this from each book that I've picked out here. I don't recommend this particular copy. There's some interesting information in here, but I think it tends to confuse those who are introducing themselves to the science of astrology. Again, one of the problems why there's so many books out there, because the astrologer's personal opinion gets into the science. That creates a lot of problems. Virgo in the sky, again in reference to the constellation of Virgo, which you notice I'm not using this to illustrate anything. This is an astronomy chart, not an astrology chart. The picture I gave out at the beginning of this period is one that has an illustration of the 12 signs of the zodiac in relationship to astrology. You'll note that Aries is found on this horizon at 0 degrees. That's the measuring point for astrological delineations. Okay? That is not where Aries is on the astronomical chart of those 12 constellations. Okay. Okay. Although the word zodiac means circle of animals, there are other forms of creation which figure prominently among the heavenly hosts. There are only 7 animal forms. Okay, let me read that. Virgo has a lithe and graceful figure. She is about 46 degrees in length and is therefore one of the longest of the zodiacal asteroids. Her honor and modesty are well protected by many other constellations, for she is bound on the north by Leo, Bootes, and Bernice's Coma. Okay, that just gives you an idea where Virgo is in relationship to other constellations. I saw it here a minute ago. Aquarius. And, you know, that's their chart, so it makes sense. The symbolism of Virgo. Virgo is fully ripened harvest, untouched as yet by the farmer's hand, and still filled with all the potential resources of the abundant crops. Thus, Virgo is the virgin who, in her chaste state, is potentially endowed with the fruits of womanhood. She waits for the right circumstances so that she will be permitted to give of her essence. Virgo's strength rests in the latency of the power contained within the unreleased energy of her being. The first thing I want you to recognize about Virgo, she's depicted in physical form carrying a bouquet of wheat. Okay, that's the first element in relationship to this 30 degrees and the personality that is found in the scriptures very directly. In some glyphic writings of Egyptian texts, Virgo is considered to have been the Isis who walked across the sky and therefore dropped wheat along the sky and formed the Milky Way. That's this stream of enmeshment we see here. Okay, that's a depiction of the total universe. Okay, so that's not Virgo. Okay, that is Zodiac. The manifestation of the womb of God is what Isis represents. So some astrologers have replaced that in configurating and in comparing her with the sign of Virgo, as others have compared her with the sign of Cancer as well. Probably because those are the only two female among the 12 signs in astrology. Virgo's strength rests in the latency of the power contained within the unreleased energy of her being. Although not completely aware of the extent of her abilities, once her creative force is allowed to flow, the Virgin knows that she possesses something of great value and is therefore reluctant to be opened by any ordinary farm hand. She prefers to wait for the perfect complement to her being so that her fruit will be harvested under the best conditions possible. But if she delays too long, her fruit will sour or spoil. Her timing, therefore, must be ever so precise. Okay, let me make reference to something else because I may not be getting my point across with that particular book, though I like some of the ideas that comes out of that. The sun sign Virgo symbolizes chastity and forms the central idea of a great number of myths. When the sun passes through this sign, the harvest is ready for the reaper. So Virgo is symbolized as the gleaning maid with 2 ears of wheat in her hand. I want you to keep in mind those 2 words there, 3 words, harvest, reaper, and gleaning, okay, particularly when we get to Ruth. The sign Virgo signifies the solar plexus of the grand man. That's his opinion. We already have Cancer as signifying the solar plexus. Down below that is the threshing floor where grain is made. We'll get to that in a minute. That's the intestinal tract. Okay. This constellation governing the bowels of humanity, which is the intestinal tract, is highly important since the intestines comprise a vital section of the digestive organism and vital fluids. Upon the esoteric plane sphere, Virgo is occupied by Asher. Out of Asher his bread shall be fed, says Jacob to one of his sons. This sign expresses the fulfillment of the creative design, and the mysteries of maternity are concealed under this symbol. The mystical gem of Virgo is the sardonyx, a stone possessing great virtues. Okay.